meeting to order. And I'll start with an acknowledgement that we're on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Métis people whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. And with that, we'll get a motion to adopt the agenda. Oh, Sasha?
I'd like an addition to the agenda, please, and that is the sheet that you guys have in front of you. It's the request from the High Prairie Native Friendship Center. So if we could put that into
14, correspondence to the council.
Sure.
Yep, 14.1.
Yep. And with that addition, I'm happy to move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay, any other additions or deletions? Yep.
Just to remind the mayor that we do have a unscheduled delegation at 6:50.
That'll be, yeah, got that. All right, all in favor? Carried. And with that, we'll move on to our scheduled delegation. Staff Sergeant Mr. Tarswell, come on up. You're the next contestant.
Thanks for having me. I hope everybody is doing well. So we did send out our Q2 report, which I'm sure everybody's had a chance to look at, and I'm sure there'll be some questions from that. But I just kind of want to update you from the detachment side, how we're looking and how things are going. Kind of the bad before the good. So right now we're still short our ops NCO, but we do have one named. His name is Jason Barber. He's going to be coming to us from high level. So we're hoping by the end of the year we'll have him here and in the chair. So that's good news for us to get our sergeant back. And also our FOST corporal has been named as well. It's going to be Dennis Kerr. He's coming up from Pekani First Nation, and he's going to be looking after FOST. So again, good news for us. That's kind of the bad and the good. We're short some membership right now just due to Matt and Pat. It was apparently a very good year in that aspect. We've got 5 or 6 that are gone and one that's going to be going. So going to be lots of new babies around the detachment. So we're running a little short with that. So I've kind of advised district that to backfill some of these shortages, we're going to have to put some overtime in and call in some members from other detachments just to kind of weather the storm with us and get us through until people start coming back. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel and we're going to get there. Recently, and this is just to update you as well, we are going to be doing a retreat with the Whitefish First Nation for some sensitivity training. I call it cultural inclusion. I like that better than sensitivity training. So in the new year, they're going to set up a retreat for us out at, they have a camp out there. We're going to have all our members or any that can make it for the first retreat go out for the day, and we're going to actually get right back to the start of the Indigenous history and work our way through everything, reconciliation, the whole 9 yards, up till today. So hopefully, we have a lot of members that, like we have a member who's Moroccan through Toronto and ended up here. So we're doing him a disservice by not, introducing him to all the cultures that are around here. So we're pretty excited about that. I've been in contact with the mayor as well. In the new year, I'm gonna try and set up a date for all businesses in town, and I'll open it up to the county as well, to put on a SEPTED presentation. We have probably the top SEPTED, and I'll tell you what that is in a second here, person in Canada. Her name's Jennifer Key out of K-Division, and what it is crime prevention through environmental design. So she'll come out and she can kind of guide businesses on what to do with their businesses outside to make them less of a target for thieves. So we're like I said, I've been talking to the mayor about that. We're just trying to set up a date, and then I can get a hold of her, and we're going to do some canvassing and try to get a good representation of the town to come out, and we'll get whether it's at one of the hotels, a conference room, and we'll set that up. So that's kind of where we are moving forward. We had a successful Remembrance Day. Our members were out. We're getting pretty excited for Christmas. That's always the best time. We've got some check stops planned, candy cane check stops. You give the good with the So, no, we're pretty excited, and I just got to give full credit to all my members there. You know, in the shortages, they're stepping up and, you know, keeping it afloat. So, yeah. So that's where we're at, anyways, for the detachment. So, in regards to the Q2, really, if you have any questions, I don't know what aspect you want me to go over. I'm sure to a lot of you, it's the same stuff over and over. I talked about our establishment. We're short 5 on parental, still have 3 that are other. Some positions are getting filled. And then, of course, I said, we talked about the quarterly financial drivers. Really, we're going to be spending a little bit of money on overtime just to fill the gaps where we need it. We're not going to send our guys out, you know, short. If we don't, you know, we're just not going to do that. That's not safe. So I've been in contact. I've got a new Danko looking after us here. He's our district advisory NCO, so he's kind of my liaison to district, and he's full support of that. So yeah, we're pretty excited to make sure everybody's got ample manpower and we can get out and keep doing what we're supposed to be doing. So yeah.
All right, are you ready for questions?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll throw it open. Councillor Wago.
Dog.
Pardon?
Dog. Are we gonna be getting the dog back?
Are we going to be getting the dog back? That's easy. They're really pushing for it to not come back. I'll
Really?
just tell you that.
To
They're-
not come back?
Yeah, they're trying to, my understanding is they're trying to put it in Peace River, so it's more easily accessible to high level, and then can also supplement down here. So, I've told them my view on it. They know where I stand on it. They know where we stand on it.
Is there anything we can do to encourage them to?
I honestly don't know. To be brutally honest, I've almost got the feeling their minds are maybe already made up. But that being said, I mean, you can do what you gotta do, right? I've yelled and screamed as loud as I can, and like I said, there's guys with a lot more scrambled eggs in their hats and stuff like that that make the decisions over me. And you know, my understanding is they've been in consultation with the PDS unit, and they're just trying to centralize it more, and I guess that centralization means Peace River.
So, right now, where is the next closest K-9 unit stationed at?
Right now, it would be probably Grand Prairie or St. Albert.
So there's nothing, oh my God. Okay.
And that's, yeah, I know, and hey, I agree with you 100%. And you know, they say, well, your numbers don't show that you need it. And I tell them, well, when the dog's here though, we use it. And it's well needed.
Yeah.
And the guys would use it. And the bad part is we're gonna get to the point where we could be using a dog, but we know what the, you know, time is for them to get here.
And you won't do
So
it.
then we just won't do it, right? So
It's a catch-22.
it really is, right? When it's here, we'll put it to work. It could, and there are people there, I've talked to people higher up than me that will agree that we could sustain a dog quite easily. But I think it's I don't know, does Peace River, we're bigger, we should have a dog? I don't know what they're thinking are with it. Is Peace River an easier place to staff? Maybe that's what it is. You know, people are more, in the RCMP are more likely maybe to want to move to Peace River than to Fost. I don't know what it is, so.
There's so much culture in Fost.
Well,
I grew up there, so I'm allowed to say that.
absolutely. Yeah, so I'm not gonna, you know what, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you, and I'm not gonna tell you, hey, we're still plugging. The reality of it is, my gut feeling is, I think they're gonna be moving it to Peace River.
Or maybe
I'll just
centralize it
add
out of
a
there.
little bit in on that. This is the same place we were at, what was that, 4 years ago when they wanted to move it to Peace River.
Right.
Between us and the county and the community, we lobbied hard. We got it back here. And we know, unfortunately, what happened once they got back here, and then we've lost it again. So we're gonna need to get lobbying and pushing again. And I know-
Absolutely, and I won't end the fight either, because I truly believe we need one here, and it's a nice resource. You know, I talked to district and I talked to my new Danko today, and, you know, he says we're the busiest detachment in WAD, Western Alberta District, so that's from, you know, Canuso West,
Yeah.
Grand Prairie North. We're the busiest detachment. There's some pretty busy, I mean, short of Grand Prairie, but that's,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a city.
membership wise, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, and I don't know why people don't wanna come here. I love it here. I tell the guys it's, you know, the best place to work ever, so we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Like I said, I'll pushing and screaming and yelling and throwing a temper tantrum, however far that gets me, and if you guys lobby, maybe together they'll come to their senses, cause I truly believe it's a bad decision to move it out of here, so.
Mr. Mayor, there's an intermunicipal meeting
Thursday,
Thursday. Maybe this is something that could be brought up there.
absolutely. Absolutely, and I think this is one of those things that we can get ANCA to lobby on also, because it does affect the whole region.
Yeah.
And ANCA is the Alberta North Central Alliance.
Okay.
And it's made up of some towns, some of the counties, and some First Nations. So I think that's another group that we can utilize to get it into this region again versus in another region. Yeah.
You know, and you have my support, so.
Get that.
Like I said, there's just guys with way higher pay grades that make these decisions, and whether I make the right recommendation or not, sometimes you don't get heard. That's the unfortunate part about it, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bryce.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Councillor Ishishin?
Just kind of noticing you had an increase of patrols with OHV, and was that on the long weekends, or it just varied and?
It was varied. We got a pretty fun crew at the detachment who love taking the toys out, right? And I'm like, oh, absolutely, all for it. So, I mean, it even goes to our boat operators, because we have a boat here. So we did a lot more boat patrols. We did have guys out in Foss. The big issue out there is a lot of the people without helmets and driving around town. So I just told the guys, I just want proactive patrols out. If there were some major events, they would go out to those. I mean, we took part in a couple of quad rallies around too,
Right.
which the communities really like, because it does keep it a little bit under control. If there's an RCMP riding alongside of you, you're not quite as crazy or drinking quite as much and that kind of thing. So the guys are trained, and I tell them, like, use the machines and use them or we'll lose them, and go do good things with them. So
Yep.
yeah, they're getting, and I anticipate with the winter coming too, you'll see our snowmobiles out too. We have those as well, I think a couple of those, so we'll keep them out. And you know what, they can go launch them on the lake and do spot checks for ice fishing and all that stuff, and, you know.
Yeah, they wouldn't suspect you really so much coming up on a
No,
quad, probably,
nobody
right?
really expects the RCMP when that happens.
Yeah,
so
no, that's
it's-
good,
it's-
good to see, yeah, and at the quad rallies and that,
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
excellent.
So, and you know, the nice thing about those two is it does get our members out in the communities.
Yep.
And it gets a little bit of that ownership into communities.
And education out
It
there.
does, it really does. So, yeah, we've kind of stepped up up a lot of our proactive patrols. I mean, we just find that is one of the best deterrents, is just drive around and be seen, you know. Yeah, there's some nights when the big one hits and kind of uses all the resources, but I've told them that, you know, night shifts, I don't really like you sitting in the office anyways, so get out and have some fun and go get the bad guys and drive around, put your lights on and make a scene, so.
No, great to see,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Daneka?
On your first page of your thing, you discussed the body worn cameras, your letter to the mayor, etc., the body worn cameras. When will you be implementing that?
Implementing them? That's a great question. And we get emails that say they're coming, but nobody tells us when they're coming. So I think they're gonna do a rollout, and I don't know if we're in the initial rollout for them,
Okay,
but I would anticipate in 2023, in that year, we'll probably see that they'll get them all out, so, yeah.
so, and just to refresh my memory, is that a cost borne by the RCMP, or is that a cost borne by the community that the detachment is in?
That's a really good question. And I can find out that answer for you. I don't have it today, unfortunately, but I'll
Okay.
find that answer out for you.
Okay,
Where,
please.
where that cost is coming, where the payment for that cost is coming from.
Yes,
Sure,
please.
absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Okay, anything else? I had one, and I'm just wondering, I know we, earlier in the year, we had a lot of thefts in town, and it was a lot of thefts in town. I haven't heard as much. I'm just wondering if it's quieted down, if so, why, and if, or maybe it hasn't quieted down, but I just haven't heard of it.
It's definitely quieted down in town, and I don't know if it's the cold weather, what it is. I like to think it's because my guys are out finally, you know. I kick their asses out the door and get out, drive around, go get seen. The nice thing about our police cars, pardon me, is we have a computer system in them. They can literally do all their work, short of, you know, actual physical paperwork, in their cars. So they can go park on a high crime area, park on the side of the road, and they can work on their computers in their cars. So I'm really pushing for them to get out because they've given us this technology to use our cars truly as our office. So we're gonna really try pushing that a little more too. But I think proactive patrols have helped. I think the weather has helped. Yeah, I think, you know, maybe I don't know if there's more people out and about or approach, or, you know, lights are on. I don't know what it is, but I like to think it's kind of a little bit of everything thrown in together.
Yeah, and I've just heard through the grapevine that some of the main culprits have been persuaded to go and try elsewhere.
Yeah, that could very well be. And again, the one part of this job I hate some days is we're trying to make them somebody else's problem, right? You know, I used to laugh, we'd always say in Spirit River, we'll just drive them to the north side of the Dunvegan Bridge, then they're Fairview's problem, right?
Yeah.
But the unfortunate part of the society we live in is, yeah, we want to keep our community safe. And unfortunately, it may come at the cost of another community somewhere else where they're going to relocate to and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think you're right too. Some of them have been picked up, some of them are persuaded to do other things. So yeah, it's kind of a global, I guess, effort and outcome.
Okay, no, it's good to hear it's coming down.
It is for sure.
All right, I don't see any other questions, so I want to say thank you for coming in and giving us the update. We appreciate it. And I can tell you that we are not going to be letting the dog position go that easily.
Fight for it. And
We will be fighting for it, so
Perfect.
we can, yeah.
And please keep me in the new year with maybe a meeting in January. Let me know when that is, and hopefully we'll have maybe our 2 new guys in, and I'll introduce you to them. I'll bring them into a meeting, and we can introduce you to them. You guys can have a little fun with those guys.
Yeah,
So
sounds good.
awesome! I appreciate it. Thanks very
Okay,
much.
Thanks for coming in.
You bet.
Okay, so now we'll move on to Brock. We'll bring you in, and yeah. So you can't see everybody; you just get to see me. The way our system is set up.
I can see you and I can see myself.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah, there is, I can give you a little glimmer of who's around our table. We do have our council table here, so everybody is here.
Awesome.
And, so, yeah.
That's really helpful because it's hard, if you're typically the room, you don't know looking for it.
Oh, I hit. There we go. We're back. I just hit the. Okay, so you know what? I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks so much. So for those who don't know me, I'm Brock Mulligan, Senior Vice President of Alberta Forest Products Association. We represent forestry producers all around the province, including West Fraser and High Prairie. And last time I spoke with you, we did not have local, but we do have. So we have every major forest products producer in the province is a member of ours. I just wanted to do a little bit of an update for council. Last time I spoke to you was last winter, and we were very concerned at that time about a proposal by the Alberta Electric System Operator, which would have shifted massive costs onto certain saw this as an attempt to take a problem they have, which is that they've overbuilt the system, and really force a lot of that cost unfairly onto northern communities and industries. We asked for your support. You were very gracious in providing a letter that went to the Utilities Commission. And I just wanted to report to council that the proposal that the electric system operator had put out there was shot down by the Utilities Commission 2 weeks ago. So this means that voices of communities like High Prairie and industries that operate in the north are heard. I wanted to say thanks. It really meant a lot to us that you stepped up and we achieved a good outcome. And I think the last thing to report is that the fundamental problem that the electric system operator has is probably not going away. And what was actually highlighted in the decision that was very interesting was that since 2007, the amount of electricity that our electric transmission system transmits around the province has grown by 7%, but the cost to run that system have grown by 327%. And so this is a problem that's long term, but I think it's really positive that attempts to put it all on the shoulders of a handful of industries and a handful of communities died, and that's largely because communities pushed back. So thanks, and it meant a lot to us that you helped.
All right, yeah. Yeah, we are glad to help because, as you know, forestry is very big in our community and what we can do to support it. So maybe I'll just ask you, I know I've been hearing a little bit about the rail issue coming up. I'm wondering if you can speak on that at all or what we can do to help with that.
Sure, that would be awesome. So rail continues to be a problem in our industry to the point where we're seeing shift reductions and slowdowns simply because the product isn't being moved. And what we feel is that railways are making decisions that not to have any additional capacity in their system because maybe it's the right thing for them financially, but they're failing on their service obligations and it's harming communities. So Mayor Clayton is working from Grand Prairie, he's working with us to build a group of municipalities to kind of help push back and to talk about the story of Northern Alberta and how this is harming communities. So she's been helping us to distribute a letter to speak to councils about the possibility of joining the effort. Yes, if you're amenable to it, it's something we'd be grateful to have your support as well.
Okay, yes, so we did hear about this at our Northern Alberta elected leaders meeting, and I think we will probably be getting something in the near future to say support or not support this, but I'm sure our council again would be behind it any way that we can help our forest industry, but also our agricultural industry and being able to move their product also.
Yeah, and with a big grain crop this winter, I think that everybody's concerned about how they're going to move it. So, yeah, thanks so much for your consideration.
All right, I'm just going to see if anybody around the table has questions for you, comments. I don't see anything, so thank you very much for joining us
You
tonight.
guys are awesome. Thanks so much for your help.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get the rail things straightened out too.
Yeah.
All right, have a good evening.
Hey, thanks, you too.
Do we have anybody else joining in tonight? No? Okay, so I'm all right to end this meeting. Ooh, that's a lot of pictures of me there. Okay, moving on then to 3.1, our peace officers report. Can I get a motion on this? Oh, sorry, yeah, we got another one.
Hey, good evening to council. I'm here wearing the chair of the Beautification Association tonight. Just two quick things. We extend lots of thanks to the Public Works staff. I know they're short and they've been told that they've got most of the lights up they can. We understand that we've lost a lot of lights from last year due to just the fact that they have done their time. We do a test tomorrow. You're invited to come see if you want at 5 o'clock just how many we've lost. We'll look at it and decide where we need to go for next year. I'm suspecting we'll have to up the budget a bit and try and get them back up. Because the staff has told me they did lose quite a bit. So we'll have a look tomorrow and see. We're not going to be able to really do too much at this time this year about it. The second thing is a huge thanks to CAO, Bill. I don't know if we're told what happened last Friday regarding the parade, but he stepped in and saved it for us. So we extend the thanks for that. If you want to know the details, you can talk to him. He looks a little surprised when I'm saying this.
That proves I am not the Grinch.
Basically an insurance issue. We were asked if we had insurance, which we don't. They said, what do we do? I said, cancel it, we're done, eh? But he stepped in. So I think it's safe to say then, Bill can correct me, so officially it's the Town of High Prairie Santa Claus Parade, and we'll just help behind the scenes and organize it and do our thing. So it's just more or less a name change. I think that's fair, Bill, to say that, more or less?
Well, that would be council's discretion, but I
Yeah.
guess for insurance purposes, council has sanctioned this as a community event, so then it can be covered under our blanket insurance coverage.
Yeah, so thanks for Bill for stepping in and doing that for us in the community. And maybe just one last thing, and before I open up to any questions, as I had mentioned before, we are having no speeches this year. That was our biggest complaint on social media, so we decided to get rid of them. However, though, we will be setting up our PA around 6 to 6:15 to 7 o'clock. The parade starts at 6:45 at the old plant. From the period of time, from that 6 to 6:15 to, say, 6:45, Brian is the mayor. You're welcome to come and see our PA guy and do a speech if you want during that time. But we're going to bring Santa up there at the end of the parade, turn on the lights, and we're going to get out of there. So just complaints, oh, we can't hear. Well, no kidding if you're sitting down by Circle K, but that's another issue. Of course, you're not going to hear. But so we decided to do that. And if you provide us with statements, we'll get into the paper and get your statements in that way if you so wish. We'll extend that also to the Reeve. So if the council has any questions, I'll try and answer them.
All right.
I'd just like to extend my thanks to, even though the delegation is saying it was the CAO, of course, it's the staff behind the CAO. I call them Santa's helpers that actually did the heavy lifting. So again, shout out to the staff.
Yes, the staff were phoning me, whatever, and then the one staff phoned me and said, Bill said we're going to do this. And so I think he's being very humble. Yeah. Anyway, it's really appreciated, and the committee, I'm sure, will appreciate it. Well, we know we got some entries this year that we've never had before. We did pound the pavement a month ago to try and build up the parade a little bit more as to what it's been. And still COVID concerns, we all know, but it's a work in progress. It's one of the things we got to try to address, to try and build it up so it's not quite so quick.
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to say too, thanks, to Beautification, because I know it's not a huge group and they taking on these projects, but it's those kinds of volunteers that make the town a better place to live, right? These kind of activities that you can do is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have recruited 2 new members this year who are joining us and helping us out. We're going to try and branch it a little bit into horticultural in the coming year. So try and do something there. What that'll be right now, I'm waiting for a proposal from the members so we can move forward on it somehow, if it's even possible, because I don't know exactly what the plan is, but I'd ask that member to give us something in writing so we can look at it and then begin to study it. So, okay, so thanks very much then.
Oh,
Just wanted to say, you guys, you do put High Prairie on the map, and I was in Grand Prairie, had 2 families talk about our light up, and Sturgeon Lake families talk about High Prairie's light up. So,
Yeah.
just so you're aware.
And just one little tidbit for history, though. The town has purchased lights in the past. I think the last time I found was 2007. But it's like the town has never not purchased lights. They have in the past. although it's been quite a while since we've taken on that responsibility. But you guys do more than enough with the manpower and putting them up, because it takes about a month, eh? If some of the counselors didn't know, so. Okay, so good, thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you on Friday.
You betcha.
All right, thanks for that, and we'll move on now to 3.1, the peace officers report. Can I get a motion on this? Okay,
That council receives the senior peace officers October 2022 report for information.
all right, thanks for that, and I'll turn it over.
Evening, Council, Mayor. Nothing really outstanding last month, other than we're still issuing tickets for unlicensed dogs, dogs at large. Barking dogs, there's a few complaints about that. Other than that, some truckers seem to think that parking off the truck route is allowed, but we're issuing a couple warnings and a couple tickets for that. But other than that, open to any questions council may have.
All right, we'll turn it over. Councillor Stenhouse.
Actually, I'm glad you brought up the trucking thing. Can you clarify where these truckers can park to go and get lunches, coffees? We see I see them parked down by PV Mart, and I also see them
Yep.
parked along the highway in front of, I know it's not IGA, but,
Friesen Brothers?
right, correct.
Yeah, anywhere on Highway or 53rd Ave. And the odd spot on 48th Street where there's obviously when there's no parking signs. Other than that, there's 50th Ave along Railroad tracks there. Yeah,
Friesen, parking by Friesen Brothers is acceptable.
yeah.
All right, anything else? I had one for you. I was just noticing that we had to pay to put a dog down. I'm just wondering, is that there was no owner associated with it, and because we ended up paying it.
We did. This issue was a dangerous, vicious dog. The owner surrendered it to us. We attempted to adopt it out or to relocate it to any animal shelter, but as soon as they hear that it's a vicious and it's attacked, then they don't really want to take it.
Okay.
So unfortunately, that's what happened with this.
Yep, no, okay, I understand better now. I was just wondering. Okay, nothing else? Thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
We had a motion to receive for information. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to our minutes, 5.1. Get a motion on this. Councillor Yashishin?
The council approves the minutes from November 8th, 2022 regular meeting of council as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there any changes or alterations needed on these? Well, that's good, because I know you had them all ready to be signed there already with that intent. So we can sign them and get them done. Good. All in favor? Carried. All right. Any business arising from the minutes? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to new business. 8.1, ANCA protocol change. Get a motion on this one? Councillor Dunn?
The council approves the ANCA governance protocol amendments, changing quorum to 5 out of 9 member governments present with a minimum of 2 First Nation governments and 2 municipal governments present.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think the summary in there said everything that sort of was needed. And I know I gave you that heads up after the last meeting that this was coming. So, any questions on this one? Oh, Councillor Danaka.
It's just a governance question. Are all the members of ANCA needing to approve this change?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's all I needed.
Did you have a question?
Guilty asking this because I don't have the background information. It's just, I've read through this, and the whole purpose of this ANCA was to have everyone on board and to work as a group. And it seems like they're struggling to meet quorum, as it states in the background information that at each meeting they're struggling for quorum. Lowering, I'm not in favor of it for lowering the bar. What will happen when a couple more pull out? How, like, it's, to me, it's getting to look like it's another intermunicipal group here. I know you have no control over who's going to show up, but will there be further changes? And if this is not going to be the group that it was intended for, are they going to pull the plug on it?
Well, I can't answer if people are going to show up. I can't answer that. But I can say that there is, you know, there's been better turnouts, and I think we had a strategic planning session last, and there's getting to be some action out of this group now. And I think once this group starts to show some results and things start happening and people see the value of this group, I think more people are going to start attending and coming out. So that's my hope and that's my thought. I mean, will that happen? Can't say for sure. But one of the things that, you know, even if it isn't totally successful, from my point of view, it's really been really good to make those connections with our First Nations partners and our other municipal partners, because we often don't sit down. I mean, with Big Lakes, yes, we do, but not necessarily with the Town of Slave Lake, the MD, a Lesser Slave River, or the MD of Opportunity. So, you know, we're getting to meet with those communities a little bit, to chat with them, get a bit of a relationship. So even at this point, I think it's good. You know, there's been some trust, some relationships built there that we wouldn't have had otherwise. And so yeah, the intent is just to be able to change the quorum. As we know, the Capuino dropped out, and
So that being said, and I saw that, it's no longer 5 out of 9, it's 5 out of 8.
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense to me that there's equal representation, and so that business can move along and this organization can grow and be productive. I think that you have to establish a quorum that is representative of both and allows things to happen. So I'm thinking that I would say yes to this.
Councillor Martins?
And Mr. Mayor, pardon me if you went over this last meeting, but are you able to share why Capowina might have dropped out?
I don't know. I have not talked to them. I'd have to talk to them. I mean, there was some speculation on why they might have, but I don't even want to share because it's only speculation. Yeah, I have not heard from them. Councillor Wagle?
Obviously with Kapound dropping out, then they're not in there, but I see everybody else on here, but I don't see Swan River on here. Were they not approached? Were they not interested? Canuso.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I think they had expressed that they weren't interested
Okay.
at the start. Yeah. All right, I see no other questions. We had a motion to adopt the new protocols. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Moving on to item 9.1, the Alberta Municipal Wastewater Program grant application.
Sorry,
Councillor
that's
Martins
where my
is ready.
agenda stops. So I don't know that there's more, but this is my last page. So there's clearly more.
There is more, yeah, but
Okay.
have you got this motion? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I can, I just don't have it.
Oh,
This is my last page, look.
oh, here, oh. Sure, yeah, there's a few more pages. I'm not sure why yours wasn't there. Yeah. All right, well, if you haven't seen it, you probably don't want to make a motion. You haven't read it, so we'll get somebody else like to make a motion on this one. Councillor Dunn?
The council direct administration to submit a grant application for lift station 3 refurbishment through Alberta Transportation under the Alberta Water Wastewater Treatment Plant program in the amount of $1,275,000. And B, that council direct administration to submit a grant application for the water treatment plant ammonia food system, CO2 feed system, SCADA and PLC upgrade and UV disinfection system replacement through Alberta Transportation under the Alberta Water Wastewater Treatment Plant program in the amount of $3,135,000.
Well, thanks for that motion. It's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. But I also know that, why would we not apply on a grant, right? But unless anybody's got a question on that one. Oh, go ahead.
Is this one of our shovel-ready products, grant-ready projects that we keep on the shelf to, when a grant comes up, it's like, here, just throw that at it. Is this one of those?
Okay, go ahead.
Council, the lift station 3 is shovel ready. The water treatment plant is a newer development.
Councillor Stenhouse?
So I had problems with this because the title of this is the Alberta Municipal Wastewater Program Grant, and we're throwing in the water treatment plant. These are two separate issues here. I think I would like more information on what a ammonia food system is, a CO2 feed system, SCADA, PLC, UV disinfectant replacement. If we're gonna upgrade our, I think it should be separated into two different things because we're talking about wastewater and we're also talking about our water treatment plant. And these are big ticket items.
Okay, well, I think this is two different applications. I mean, you're saying you want to vote on each one separately? Because
Well-
it is two different applications, one for the lift station and one for the water treatment plant.
Okay, but in the background information it says, therefore, it is recommended from our engineers to upgrade our water treatment plant. Okay, so what's wrong with our water treatment plant right now? The engineers are saying, invest another 3 million, but why? Like, there's not enough information here.
Okay, so you want more information on,
Correct.
okay, maybe, all right.
If I could, through the chair, there is a deadline for these grant applications. We'd be more than pleased to provide additional information on the plan upgrades. These upgrades have been in the town's capital forecast, long-term capital forecast, but there is some time sensitivity by not applying for the grants. So our recommendation from administration's perspective is we'd like council to deal with the submission of the grant applications, and we'd be pleased to provide any supplementary information. So this is not where council's approving these projects, they're approving a grant application submission.
Yes, however, let's just say this grant is granted to us. We have to do this now.
That's not correct. We can decline
Okay,
receiving the grant monies.
okay.
Councillor Martins?
So what is the amount of the grant application? Is it for the amount shown, or is it 50% and the, municipality takes on, is there a percentage, or what is the?
So under the first bullet of discussions, it's broken down. We're estimating that you get 60.5% funded by Alberta Transportation. The rest would be borne by the municipality or MSI or, whatever, maybe Big Lakes because of the water treatment plant. Vern would be the better person to answer your questions, Councillor Stenhouse, as to the needs. But as you're aware, Alberta Environment is always upping their requirements, and the engineer had indicated to me that the upgrades are really stemming from that kind of thing. They're having difficulty, if I remember correctly, the terminology, THMs, which is a byproduct of chlorination. And so I'll let Vern speak to that later, but that's really the gist of the water treatment requirement. So the SCADA system has been around for a long time. That's the SCADA one there. And it went in 1980 originally when the plant was implemented. So again, that's something it's a requirement by Alberta Environment. It's an electronic way for them to actually see test results in the plant, the SCADA system is. And Vern can attest to you, it's working. It's not that it's not working, it's just that it's an older system, right?
It's just I want to make sure that we're not on the hook, that if we do get this grant, that we have to go forward with these improvements. And are these improvements needed in 2023?
Councillor Wakel?
The way I read this is basically the rules have changed and we need to catch up. And this grant is helping us catch up. And yeah, we're gonna be on the hook for a little bit of it. It's not gonna cover all of it, but they set the rules and we have to follow them.
Yeah, but that's not what we're voting on. We're voting simply on the fact that to make the application, and I'm going, why would we not? And one of the things is one of our fears is when our things start to deteriorate and they break down and we haven't done anything, then we have to pay the full amount on our own. And so I'm going, that's why I'm putting this forward, is we need to make an application. And it's like our CEO has said, if we determine we don't need to spend that money, then, but I don't see why we wouldn't. However, if that's our determination, we still, at least the grant is out there, we've got access to it if we need it. Yeah.
And if I could just add, there is a hard deadline for the submissions. There isn't a hard deadline of getting an answer back.
Yeah.
So it's unlikely that the recipients of the grants will probably be a 3 to 6 month process, and that will afford opportunity to get information back to council. In terms of the grant, the way the province administers these grants, they'll approve the upset limit. If we do not undertake components within our original application, those are just not funded, and that, the money's reallocated to another municipality. So there's no risk there once council approves the scope of the project. So there is no risk to council. Council will have numerous opportunities between now and likely the approval of any funding announcement to get fully briefed on the potential staging of the project. Usually these are multi-year grants, and you have usually a 2 to 4 year period of time to undertake the work. And, that's a good opportunity to allow administration to say, here's phase 1, here's phase 2. So some of this work may not be undertaken for 2 years, but at least we'll have, if it's successful, funding opportunities.
And we know the lift station needs to be done. That's been one in the works for a while, so that one's really important. The other thing that I did notice in our the latest newspaper, it was that Peace River got a grant through a different program for their lift station, and there was the name of the grant was in the paper. We should also be looking at that one also. I mean, any grants that we can get. Small communities grant, yeah, I mean, anything we can do to help fund some of these big infrastructure upgrades, we should be looking at, absolutely. Okay, anything else on this one? Seeing none, we had the motion to approve administration to apply on the grants. All in favor? Carried. And moving along then we're already at the staff and the CAO's written report. Can I get a motion on this one?
I'll move that we receive CO Bill McKinnon's report and action list for information.
Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to anything you'd like to highlight or add to your report.
Nothing really to highlight. Again, attended as a guest of the county, the RMA Fall Conference. There was lots of activities there, lots of learning opportunities, and of course, a lot of networking. Budget deliberation dates and the like are there. Staff have been meeting with various vendors on our technology needs, and we'll be bringing back a briefing for council's information on that. There's some exciting stuff there. The other big item, which I will provide a more formal presentation of in my next report, or perhaps at the next quarterly meeting where council's dealing with its strategic priorities of what items Mackenzie Municipal Service has committed to undertake over the next 3 years in terms of planning updates related specifically to the town. So there's numerous items they have on their 3 to 5 year, their 5-year operational plan that they've committed to do on behalf of town council, and their upgrades to various legislative requirements and land use bylaw, development plans, and the like. But I'll share that with council.
Okay, so we'll open it up for questions and or comments. Anybody got anything? Councillor Stenhouse.
My first one is, could I get clarification on the introduction discussions with municipal advisor? Is that what you just talked about, that you'll have them coming in?
No. Kelly can update us on this one, but when new CAOs are appointed, Kelly is our registered updater of municipal affairs listings. So the municipal advisors, whoever's assigned to this district, give a phone call and say, hi, I'm Kelly, I'm your municipal advisor. You have that chat. I know numerous of the municipal advisors. that work for municipal affairs, but it's, again, it's a courtesy call to say, like, what do you need from us? Are you aware this is available? Blah, blah, blah. And it's that introductory discussion. Again, one of the things that came out of it that I will be circulating is there will be some training sessions for staff, and they're all online sessions. So usually twice a year, municipal affairs for staff run, half an hour workshops on various topics, and staff can dial in, and, that's an outreach thing. So again, it's, here's what municipal affairs does. Here's the resources we have. Build that relationship if you need to reach out to us.
I have one more. I have a concern, hopefully you can help me with this. What's our water situation? Is our reservoir full for the winter?
Staff gave an update at a previous council meeting. It is not full, but it appears to be adequate.
So are we still, because I know it's been a dry, hot summer with minimal rainfall. Are we still pumping water from the river?
My understanding, or what the Public Works superintendent advised, was the pumps were not coming out until they were completely frozen. So I believe they are still pumping, but I would have to verify that.
Yeah, because I noticed today the pump is sitting in the river where there's no water. And we're having budget deliberations. I'm hoping that a pump won't be on the ask list. It's not frozen there.
As far as the indications are, those pumps can remain in the water and be frozen and still be extracted without damage, as has been the case in prior years.
Okay, so, and I know I've missed a few meetings here, so our reservoir is sitting good.
It's not top brimmed out, but it appears to be adequate. And the commitment was made by staff to keep council abreast if there's a perceived deficiency, but it's not unlikely, it's highly unlikely that an update would be provided until months from now if we run into difficulties. But, we're monitoring the situation, and if there is an area of concern that council needs to be apprised of, council will be apprised.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I had a few, I'm going through the action list, and one of the ones was I'm looking at on page 28, looking at the second one down regarding the application for the rural renewable community. I'm wondering if we have an update on that one, and that might go to James because he's sitting on the committee, but.
Yeah, I've been told that's been taken care of. And the other part of that was last meeting you'd asked about the Ukrainian worker program. It's the same program. It's just they get preferential treatment now because apparently something's happening in their country.
Gotcha. Okay, and just a little comment that I'm noticing in the additional information portion on here that is listed is that's actually for a different program. So there's an update there, but that's not the rural renewal program. This one is that rural entrepreneurial stream where the entrepreneurs can come in. So has there been any update on what's happening with that one? With that?
The only update I can provide council is I have a video conferencing call with the provincial coordinator of the program next week, so I can provide council an update after that.
Okay, so yeah, it's just, this doesn't seem to fit in that. I mean, they're related, but they are different programs. We applied on two different programs there. One's the workers, one's the entrepreneurs. The next one down, I'm noticing that they talk about the procurement of electricity for the town of High Prairie starting January 1, 2024. Is that supposed to be 2023?
I will need to research that. It potentially could be 2024 because these are multi-year contracts that generally are entered into. So ours may be expiring, and it's, again, getting that, they're executed a year before.
Okay, no, I just wasn't
But
sure if that was
I
a
will-
typo. I couldn't remember for sure on that one. I'm flipping the next page, going to 29, page 29, the third one down. The motion by Councillor Dunn that the council agrees to work alongside Counseling Alberta. I have to say my memory doesn't serve me very well what we were going to be doing with Counseling Alberta, other than supporting them and advertising and promoting their programs. That was necessary. That's what I remember. And okay, so can we take that one off? Have we been promoting their programs? Is it on our? Did we put it on our website? Did we put that information out there?
Again, I'm going to have to do a bit of research because I'm not aware of what Counseling Alberta actually delivers.
Yeah, okay. Like I say, I just know that's what we were going to do was, if I remember right, was just help to,
It's a counseling program for people that are looking for, back then it was around COVID and all the stress and things like that. So it's a program that promoted counseling that people could access for free, I believe.
So if it's an advocacy group that's associated and council's okay, we can just make sure that we put the links on Facebook and the like, and
Yeah.
we'll have it on Facebook by the end of the week. And
Yeah, I think it was on at one point, because I went looking for it.
yeah, we'll make a commitment if they release anything new. We post new updates as they come out.
Okay.
So we'll monitor that and put a process in place.
Yeah.
yeah, I was thinking this was one that probably could come off, because I'm sure it was probably done, but, I mean, I didn't go looking for it, so I can't verify that. Okay, and last, but certainly not least, at the Remembrance Day ceremony, we had thanks coming from the Legion for Public Works, because they cleaned up their parking lot and everything for them. So they just wanted to say thanks, and I said I would definitely pass that message along. So please pass that along to our Public Works crew. A big thank you from the Legion for the Remembrance Day ceremonies. Okay, seeing nothing else, we had the motion to receive the report for information. All in favor? It's carried. We'll move on to the addition to the agenda, item 14.1, the letter from the Friendship Center. And if I can just quickly summarize, they are asking for some money for their elders banquet that's coming up. And they had sent this earlier, but we as the town couldn't find anything referencing it. But so we got a copy now. There's an ask for money for a December 3rd elders banquet. Does that summarize it? What was the ask? Did they say? Or do you know what the ask was?
There's no specific ask. They are asking for financial contributions, but they do say if we cannot, they are seeking donations and door prizes. So I'm wondering if we, because we've given all our donation money away, if we can put together some packages that would be reasonable door prizes to give out.
Okay, what I'm hearing is a motion there, because we should have that, just a quick motion on this one, and then we can finish debating it and make a decision. So why don't you go ahead with a motion related to what you'd like to see?
I would like to make a motion that we, first of all, make them aware that all our money for donations has been spent, so we don't have money to give as a town, but as we will give in-kind donations for door prizes. And I don't know if do I need to say a sum of what that
No.
looks like? Okay,
I can
perfect,
figure it out.
thank you.
Okay, that's a starting point. So, yeah, thanks for that. Discussion on that one. Councillor Martins, she's got her finger ready to go there. I could see it.
So yes, I, as well as council, is well aware of the deadline for submissions. I will point out that the Friendship Center wasn't around earlier this year and haven't been for a couple of years due to COVID and other, they had some board restructuring. So they weren't able to properly place this. Henceforth, I think Councillor Wakel mentioned, let's let them know about the time frame, and they'll be, happy to. This is the 48th annual, and as I pointed out in yesterday's budget meeting, a month and a half ago, we found money for a for-profit organization to fund the hockey games that were requested. So I feel bad and remiss to not find some money in addition to the door prizes, Councillor Dunn. I don't know where we found the money for the hockey, but I'd like to find $500 or something to that effect to support this initiative, if we could. And I don't know if you're open to a friendly amendment.
Councillor Stenhouse?
So I understand where you're coming from, and I get this. I am not for this. We have a set amount. And we have to start sticking by our bylaws that we're making. And if we keep making exceptions, or they miss the deadline, or whatever, in-kind still costs money. It's part of a donation. It costs money. A donation is a donation. It costs money for whatever you plan on putting together, if it's calendars or whatever. We paid for those. I'm not for council breaking our bylaws and our protocols. And if we set a budget and we set a limit, let's stick to it.
All right. Others?
I don't really know what we have that we could use as door prizes. I mean, our town swag is very limited and really dated and non-desirable, to be honest. I mean, we need to update what we have at some point, what we have to give away. But if there's some way that we can find something that we can donate as a door prize to this, I would support that. I mean, we have our sponsorship budget is spent, so we have no technically money there. So it now falls on to seeking some type of donation of a door prize. Like I said, I don't know what we have, but that can be looked at by administration to see what is. And we'll go from there.
So perhaps we can ask administration, do we have any appropriate swag from the town? I don't know what's in our tickle trunk, so to speak.
Nothing.
There is, through the chair, minimal swag available. So we do have items such as, in this display case, town pens, fishing lures, those type of things, but they may not be appropriate for the level of support this group's looking for.
Okay.
So I could just offer, I know the rigidity of any particular budget line is there. Overall, the town will be finishing the year with a surplus. So even though the grant budget has been fully expended, It's really council's call whether they wish to show a variance in that budget or not, but that's purely a council decision.
Okay. No one else? We've gone around a little bit. I know, just the one that we did for the Red Wings, as we talked about, it wasn't as much of a cash donation because it wasn't, money going here. It was the use of our facility at no cost versus the cost. So it is a donation, but it's a little bit different than a cash donation is the way we looked at it at that time, right? It's not like pulling this out of your pocket. It's saying, yeah, we'll go ahead and you can, go skating for free at this point. It is a donation, there's no doubt about it. And it should be logged in some way, shape, or form. But that was the one little difference that we sort of looked at, I think, when we looked at the other one. But it's not to say, like you said, we can go over on our budget if we want to overspend on that particular budget line. That's a council decision. This is a good one.
We have a rec board meeting tomorrow. Why don't we bring this there and see if a punch pass for the pool? I mean, this is for the elders, right? And there's the whirlpool in the lazy river, and they can swim and something like that. And again, it's one of those things where, yes, it's a donation, but it's not cash out of our pocket. It's a thing.
Yeah, and even with seniors, that hot tub is very attractive.
Hell, not just for seniors. I like it. So whatever swag we have, sure, try to do that. But I would like to see bring this to our rec board meeting tomorrow as well, Mr. Mayor, and we'll see if maybe we can
make a donation.
Make a donation through the rec board for a punch pass or something at the pool.
So we're going to be more aware when requests come forward that we don't give out large amounts to one organization, that we spread it out evenly, because there's other events and groups that come forward.
Okay, we've sort of gone around it. We've got some ideas. You've heard the discussion now. I don't know if you want to amend your motion or if you want to let it stand, and we can go from there if you want to do a friendly amendment.
I will do a friendly amendment and make the motion that we approach the rec and see what's available in terms of a punch pass to give as donation, and then so that it's not coming out of taxpayers' dollars. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but maybe the money needs to come out of our pockets.
Yeah.
And so I'm just leaving that out there, and we'll let everybody do what their conscience guides them to do.
Okay, so what I've heard is there's an amendment or an addition to, we can add, if there is any appropriate swag, to include that as a door prize, but also look into a punch pass as a door prize with the rec committee on Thursday. Okay, we have the motion.
Sorry, I thought I was ahead of myself.
We're doing that because I'm all messed up too.
Okay, what is the mix-up here? We have a motion, and correct me if I'm wrong, the motion is...
No, I think the mix-up, Mr. Mayor, is just what goddamn date it is. Pardon my vulgarity.
What did I say?
Well, no, you said on Thursday, and I thought it was tomorrow.
Oh.
And that's what I said. And is that where you got mixed up too?
Is it on Thursday?
It is
Yeah, the
on
rec board
Thursday.
meeting is on Thursday,
Yeah.
and I thought that tomorrow was Thursday. And there's no alcohol here, so it's just It just got mixed up, that's all.
Okay, so that's the confusion, is the day of the rec board meeting, but we're clear on the motion is number one, to let them know that, you know, to please apply, and we know they couldn't do it on time this year. Number two, see if we have any swag. And number three was to look into being able to provide a swimming punch pass as a door prize. Is that summarized the motion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? It passes. Moving on then to verbal reports, and we're gonna start with Councillor Yashishin. Because she's always been last, she wants to be first for a while.
Start with the why. Thank you. I've just just had the one meeting, the Joint Budget Review Committee for Recreation on November 15th, and we saw some of that appear in the budget, in our budget meetings, and nothing else except for our regular meetings. That's my report for information.
All
Unless
right,
there's any questions.
any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Councillor Wakel?
I'm gonna work this backwards, you're not gonna mix it up to
No, not
screw us
this
all
time,
up?
we'll do it just backwards, and maybe next time we'll start somewhere else.
Okay, not a whole bunch to report. I brought you up to date on the rural grant thing there. I'm not even gonna try to say it. That and the library had Christmas party last week, very well attended. Hadn't had it for a couple of years, and people were quite happy. The Christmas store for the kids is gonna be open right away at the library, and I will be attending a Peace Library System meeting on Saturday in Grand Prairie. So I look forward to meeting that crew again. That is my report, such as it is. I'll move that for information.
All right, any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, over to myself. Also not a really busy time either in this last 2 weeks, and gone for a week of it, but I did attend the Remembrance Day ceremony, and it was very well attended. Councillor Wakel was there also. It was good. We did have a Pleasant View Lodge meeting, the addition on it, and they're moving ahead. Most of the units now have people living in them. They're still doing work, and it's more work in the common area. There's a big area between the new building and the causeway to the old building, and they're still working in there doing some work, but they did open up the doorway, so now people can walk between the two buildings, which you know, if you didn't want to go outside and you wanted to go visit someone or go for a meal, you used to have to go outside. Now they can just walk through, stay inside, don't have to slip on the snow. So that's been really good. They're still working on the covered parking area, and so there's a few things. There's a few little deficiencies that we're still arguing with the builder over. They got to fix this and fix that, and it gets a little more complicated as people are now moving in to go in and fix stuff. But most of the stuff isn't really big now. It's just a few minor deficiencies. So that's coming along, and like I say, I don't know for sure, but I think there's probably 18 of the 20 units have people in it now. There's just 2 or 3 that aren't full.
It's not question period
Yeah, and let's see, upcoming meetings, just so if anybody wants to bring something up, we've got the Joint Recreation Committee, we got the intermunicipal meeting, those are both on Thursday. Tomorrow we're doing a presentation of our donation to the food bank from the from the farming of the land, the lease of the land. So we're doing that tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And I've been nominated by Alberta municipalities for the Queen Elizabeth II Platinum Jubilee Medal, and I'm going to go into Edmonton and I'll be presented that on Sunday. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know where it came from. Yeah, I don't know what I did. It just I got nominated by somebody, so yeah, I figured I'll go in and get it. But whatever that means. Yeah. So with that, I'll move my report for information.
The only question I had, the 2 units that don't have anybody in there, just because they need some stuff finished in them yet, or?
Yeah, there was some of that, and like one of the units is my mother-in-law. She didn't want to move in until the causeway was completed. Now that it's completed, she's looking at moving in, but she's not in a big rush to move, and they got a few things to do in her place. So she could move in if she really, really wanted to, but she wants it just to be done. Yeah.
I'm very well aware of the stubbornness of that age group.
Yeah. Councillor Stenhouse.
So you talk about building on the existing building, but my question to you is, I know that Heart River Housing Pleasant View is exempt from taxes, but do they still pull permits when they're building?
Yes.
So there's no update on their greenhouse that they're building? It seems to be very large. From my view, for a greenhouse, it is as high as the building, if not higher.
I believe they have a building permit. I can't say for certain. I don't know if maybe I don't know if I see it, but yeah, they've been working on it. They've been fundraising for that. That wasn't done necessarily through, it's not really being done with funds from Heart River Housing. They've got that large donation, and several donations from the community to make that project go. But again, your question is, do they have a permit for that? I can't answer. I don't know.
If I may, I seem to remember that coming through the MPC a while back.
And it meets our land use bylaw?
Well, that's what,
Oh,
I think there's a variance there, and the commission just said that's fine. I'm remembering this in my head. It doesn't mean that it actually happened, but I seem to remember a greenhouse being brought forward to the MPC some time ago.
Yeah, they did drawings, they did all of those things, I know. And I believe, and again, you know, from the discussions that I've heard, is that I think Superior Safety Codes was over there looking at it, so that tells me that there was a permit, but again, I don't want to say for sure because I don't know. And they might have just went over there because they were inspecting the Pleasant View Lodge addition and went over to make sure that this was, I can't say, but I know that they were over there and inspected the foundation once it was poured and stuff. All right, anything else? Seeing none, I move my report. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Martins?
Thank you and good evening. So this is a remnant because I was not at last regular council meeting. The library budget review met and all of the members from Big Lakes and the town gave support for the budget. It has not changed from last year's numbers. I know as we were going through the budget, we weren't clear on the 221 versus 219. When I looked at my numbers, I saw 232, but whatever that number is, it's the same as the previous year. And perhaps Councillor Danaka made mention of this at the last meeting, but just the short of it is that all members present gave their support and said that they would carry it forward to their respective councils as supporting the budget. Secondly, as with our CEO, Mr. McKinnon, we were guests of the county at the Rural Municipalities Association, the 7th through the 10th. You know, my notes, General Hillier opened, gave some leadership tips from his command as to what municipal leaders how they can parallel that. All of Premier Danielle Smith's cabinet was introduced, as well as she certainly gave her remarks on the last day. I attended a workshop that no one else did, and it was on communication, how to build trust, how municipalities and municipal leaders can build trust within their communities. The lady that spoke insisted that municipalities are best served having a communications and a PR plan. What was the other thing? You know, all of the councillors, Minister Copping, Minister Glubish, all said the same thing. They're aware of shortfalls, and they're all new to their jobs, 2 to 3 weeks in, and they're working to make remedies. Yeah, that's the RMA. And finally, I think I shared with this group that the good news was that we do have Dr. Kurt that signed up with Highbury. It must have been those NLC pens with which he signed the contract. Yeah, so he's coming. He's got to do his assessments, but he and his wife, he's newly married, and we should see them in the spring. With that, I move my report for information unless there's questions.
Councillor Stenhouse.
So do you think it's valuable time and money spent going to RMA?
So this was my first event there. You know, I sat through all of the resolutions because I think that I wanted to see who was bringing forth things. Big Lakes also brought forth a resolution. Oh my God, you're backing me up against a corner.
It's budget time.
True. Do I think that it was worth going? Look, I got to meet Danielle Smith. I mean, you know, it was a big deal. No, joking aside, Councillor Stenhouse, yeah, you know, it's that informal with Big Lakes County. We shared 3 days with them, and I did ask them about some of the budget numbers. They shared something with me that they might not share out publicly, and I'm not going to say it here, but I'm happy to talk offline. You know, yes, I don't know, I seem to think that it was, for me personally. But this was my first time going, so I don't know what past events were like. And I think that the plights of our neighbors are you know, it's good to know what they are, you know, what resolutions come up and so forth. And I mean, most of our meals, one was sponsored, the other one, I think that was Big Lakes. So yeah.
No,
I don't know how to answer your question.
Yeah, I know this is a very tough question because this has been going on for years that 2 people do go to RMA, but money's tight, it's budget time. I understand the good relationship that you shared with them, but did you have to go to Edmonton to do that? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm very conscious of all the money we spend, and I want to get value for our money. And I just want, as a blanket, is it worth sending 2 to 3 people to RMA?
So I don't know that there's 3 people that went, and I don't know who goes generally, but I don't know if CAOs always go. I don't know if it's 2 members of council. This particular time happened to be myself and the CAO. I don't know if that's typical.
Okay, we'll move on. That'll be a budget discussion later on. Anything else for Councillor Martins? Seeing nothing, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to Councillor Dunn. Well, we're gonna, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's been on a leave, so yeah.
I attended the joint recreation meeting as well with Councillors Yasishin and
don't have anything to report from that, that we haven't discussed. And that's all I have to report right now. So I move for my report to be accepted as submitted.
All right, any questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Councillor Danaka?
No meetings, but other than the budget, but I did attend the St. Andrews Intermunicipal Aboriginal Interagency Round Dance on the 12th. It was a little different this year. They had way more vendors that were selling their wares. Basically, it was the same format. It was a good crowd. It was quite enjoyable. And the only other thing I attended was the supper / truck reveal at the fire hall for the new tender, along with the CAO was there as well. The Reeve and their CAO attended, along with the members of the fire department. It's an exciting piece of equipment. They're excited with the new tender, I guess they call it. It's a bigger unit, holds way more water. It also has a foam system in it, which we don't have. So that's valuable for the airport if we ever have a fire out there, or possible vehicle fires that need to be foamed. Other than that, that's the only 2 events I attended, so I move my report for information.
All right, any questions, comments? All in favor? And we'll ask Councillor Stenhouse if she does have, I'll just, if you,
For the record, I have no report,
all
but
right,
thank you.
okay. All right, so with that, we'll take a little break. We do have item 17.1, the confidential item, and that we'll take a break and then we'll do